sure, the lifeguard discussion. I have had discussions with several people over the past few weeks about this. I think it's something that was an idea that was rushed into, and we need to really sit back and look at this more carefully. It's the time of the year that we don't have time to really get into this, plus we have so many other projects going on. The city staff is tied up with, myself, everybody. So I believe that we've had the time to properly vet these ideas of possibly getting rid of lifeguards. Therefore, it is my motion that we move forward with lifeguards again this summer, and then next fall we can reapproach this topic and get all the facts and figures. It's all been flooding in over the last week. I haven't had time to go through everything, and I've certainly, this has nothing to do with money. I want to make that very clear. It would be a budget cut if we remove them, but that wasn't the theory. The theory was, going into this, was that for liability reasons, that we should cut them, and several other communities have done that over the years. So that's the only reason we even brushed on this topic of possibly doing that. So that would be my motion, is that we keep lifeguards this summer and reapproach this next fall, this topic.
You're making that motion?
Yes.
Second.
Discussion.
I agree with everything that Lou said. I agree with.
I have a question about we're probably a little late seeking lifeguards.
Well, last week when somebody was bringing up the fact that most people have half their lifeguards already, so that's something that, I can make that part of my motion, that we need to do this now. We need to put out for hire and get people hired for this summer.
Yes.
And then we'll be adding it into the budget. So,
Are we-
and I'm sure between Nora and everybody,
Okay.
we can.
Are we prepared to have the same number of lifeguards as we had last year?
Yes.
With the same schedule?
I was looking to 7 days a week.
Sorry?
7 days a week, we'll talk to that.
Okay. Were we open all weekends, however, with lifeguards last season?
I'm not sure.
Does anybody know that?
Yes, we were only had lifeguards on the weekends and holidays.
We only had them then.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that seemed to work well last year, I think.
Well, yeah, if you get into trouble on the right day, but.
Yeah.
Can I speak to that right now?
No, we're not doing public comment.
We've got a motion on the table. Well, I would like to see lifeguards more frequently, that's for sure. That's my point. That's my point, that's all.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will move to public comment now.
Lou, can I say a couple words
Sure.
to address the situation? I've listened at our last 2 council meetings about the subject, and I agree with everything that's been said about the lifeguard issue. I grew up here, learned how to swim in the lake, and I know how fast the lake can change and how dangerous it can be. I've been out in it. And also to respect the lake. As Lou mentioned, there's more to this conversation than just money. We have to look at all sides of an issue to make a decision. There are a lot of variables that are all part of this process. Nothing is predetermined or an excuse. There are different sides to every issue, and we would neglect as a council if we did not look at every aspect. And finally, when people insinuate that we don't care about human life or how much a life is worth, I find that very offensive, because this isn't just about money. There's no dollar amount you can put on a human life, and we have to look at all sides of this issue.
Thank you, Mark. I 110% agree with you.
Yes.
All right, any other comments? All right, I'm going to move on to the public comment portion. Mark Trail.
Thank you. So my name is Mark Trail. I live just down from the public beach. I know all about the public beach. I see it all the time. I go down there all the time. I talk to the lifeguards. I pulled 2 people out myself. One was a unconscious mother in front of her screaming children. It can be a very dangerous place. Last year, things did not go so well, in my opinion, in part because there was no police backup for some of the other things that the guards have to deal with. I don't think it's fair to put them an environment sometimes where they're having to deal with drunk or drug using or fornicating patrons, which happens there. Believe me, I would ask everybody to take a stroll down there on a busy Sunday evening or Saturday evening so they can see exactly the environment. And as far as the police backup, which they need, and last year was much less than it had been in the past, my understanding is a money issue is there. One thing I would also ask the city council to consider is a tourist tax on people who visit hotels and who have rental property. I used to own the Lake Country Inn. I spent a long time talking with a representative from Booking.com who handles bookings all up and down the coast. He said pretty much every community has a tourist tax on people who come and use our resources. They should bear some responsibility for maintaining them. At my inn, when I had it 7 years ago, there was a tax, a fee that we had added on that was used for advertising for the community. People who come to stay here in the busy months would care less about paying another $5 or $10. All these hotels should be charging some type of tourist tax. When I go to Chicago, I get a tourist tax. When I go to Peru, I get a tourist tax. Pretty much any resort place I go to has a tourist tax. That's why resort towns typically are very nice, because they can do that. I asked Booking.com, given the number of hotel rooms and rentals in this area, what he estimated a reasonable tourist tax would generate for revenues, and he said at least $500,000. So it's my opinion that the city annually is leaving a large amount of money on the table that could be used for additional public service and other issues if they would just go along with what other people do and charge a tourist tax on people who come in and use our town. I know I discussed this with Dave a year ago. I sent an email to everybody on the city council about this a year ago. I never heard any response to that. Dave mentioned that it was being looked at, but again, I never heard anything back. But I just think, in all fairness to the people of New Buffalo, they should not have to bear the entire tax burden for the maintaining the resources that people come in on the summer and use. And if that were done, I think we'd have ample monies to get some more patrols down on the beach, so that when there are problems, which there are, the lifeguards should not have to deal with a group of 10 drunk or stoned or whatever kids on a sunny afternoon. And the other thing, when it's sunny and hot, a little alcohol goes a long way. And people are drinking down there, they're using drugs, they come down to the private beach and they use drugs. So it's not, we're an hour outside of Chicago. This isn't Mayberry in the summertime. So that's all I have to say.
All right.
I just think
Thank you,
it's
Mr.
revenue
Trail.
that we're leaving on the table here.
Yeah, and going on what you had mentioned, we have looked into that. There is pending legislation right now, state level, regarding being able to do a hotel type tax. So we are watching that, monitoring it, and we do plan on hopefully moving forward. So to that extent, we also have the police department and the police chief has met with the parks department and our streets department so they could work better this summer at, between the lifeguards, all the parks people and everybody being able to interact better, walkie-talkies so they could get, if they need somebody down there, they get them down there right away. And so they all work together. That's a plan in the making. So we are, it's not really having the resources, it's having them situated so they can interact.
Yeah, I agree with, honestly, to me, the weekends are when all the action happens. Midweek, there's really not much going on down there. The worst part of the weekend is Sunday afternoon, but from what I see, in terms of safety on the water, in terms of jet skiers who are, coming too close to the shore, and that type of thing.
And we'll have the police boat out also, so.
Yeah, and but I think the communication is, I call stuff.
If you have any issues, get all the chief of police.
I do. No, they're great. I mean, every time I've called, they respond. They
Yeah.
respond. And they've been great. I got no. I just liked it when they were sitting up on the hill in their quad more. It seemed to have a little bit of impact. It's all about keeping safe, like you guys are saying, and nobody wants a dead body on the beach.
Exactly.
I've gone down to people who have. I went down to a kid that jumped in and broke his neck, and he was called the police. He got a terrible experience. The experience bringing the mother out of the water was terrible.
We do have a new police chief, and these things are being talked about and have been and being addressed.
Yeah, they've always been great. I mean, they've always, I call them, they always get a good response.
All right, thank you, Mr. Trails. Moving on, Donna Messinger.